All right, welcome back to another Blender training session. So today we're going to take a look at a way to hide and show objects that's more than just using groups or layer sets or layer visibilities. It's called Isolate Select in a program like Maya. It's called Local Mode in Blender. So let me set this up before I get into Blender by showing you the problem, right? So if you're in a program like Lightwave, and you've got several different objects, and the way that Lightwave works is it scatters its objects over a series of layers. This is very similar to how Blender worked in the 2.7 and earlier stages. It had these layers just like Lightwave does. And we since switched in 2.8 to layer collections, which allow us to do something similar where we can turn on and off visibility for whole groups of objects, right? And this works. So if I had a series of objects like this and I only wanted to adjust this sphere, I could go over to this first layer and click, and that basically isolates it, hides everything else. Doesn't really hide it, it just removes it from the view. And then if I want, I can go back through and shift select and get my other objects back. And that's totally fine as long as your object isn't really that complicated. But when you start dealing with hundreds of objects, this becomes unwieldy in a program like Lightwave, because ultimately if I wanted to isolate just this sphere, but then I wanted to go back and show the visibility of all the other, let's say, 250 objects that I've got in this, I'm going to have to manually start click, click, click all the way through, and that's going to be an absolute nightmare. So Maya handles this a much more elegant way, where if you have these objects and you wanted to just work on this cone, you can click it, and then coming up into the tool shelf, you can click this little option called Isolate Select. And once I do that, everything goes away. It allows me to sit here and then work on this object however I want. And then when I'm done, I can turn off the Isolate Select mode and everything comes right back. And that's very, very elegant, and that's a wonderful way to work. Okay, so over in Blender, we have something very similar. So in a real world practical scenario, something like this, where we have a building and maybe we have hundreds of people and we want to make an edit to one of them. But we don't want to have to start just randomly hiding or turning on and off collection layers. Let's say we want to edit this guy. An easy way to just show him and get rid of everything else temporarily is to come up to the View menu and choose this Local View, Toggle Local View option. And the keyboard shortcut for this is the numpad with the /. Okay, and that's a keyboard shortcut that you absolutely will want to remember. So once you click that, everything else goes away. It's still here, still in the outliner, but now we can begin to work on this character. We can make whatever edits we need to him, and then when we're done, we can come back and say View, Local View, Toggle Local View again, and it puts him right back in context with all of the rest of the scene. Okay, so numpad / to isolate, numpad / again to bring back and show in context with everything else. And that's pretty much all there is to that tool. So with that said, I hope you find that helpful, and I hope that it enhances your workflow. And until the next time, happy blending.